I want to talk to you today about what Whoopi Goldberg said. I talked to you about it because everybody's talking about what Whoopi Goldberg said. But I don't want to talk to you about what Whoopi Goldberg first said. I want to talk to you about what she said after she said what she said. What she said upset everybody. She said that the Holocaust was not a matter of race, it was a matter of man's inhumanity to man. What was so terrible about that and how we should react? I'm going to leave that for another time. But it upset everybody. Even Hitler was upset by what she said because he definitely felt it was a matter of race. But I want to focus on what happened after she said it. After she said it, she realized she had made a mistake. And here is what she said that night and tweeted. On today's show, I said the Holocaust is not about race, but about man's inhumanity to man. I should have said it's about both. As Jonathan Greenblatt from the Anti-Defamation League shared, the Holocaust was about the Nazi systemic annihilation of the Jewish people, who they deemed to be an inferior race. I stand corrected, what we said. The Jewish people around the world have always had my support, and that will never waver. I am sorry for all the hurt that I caused. Good? Well, if that wasn't good enough, the next day on The View, she said the following. Yesterday on our show, I misspoke. I retweeted about it last night, but I want you to hear it from me directly. I said something that I feel a responsibility for not leaving unexamined because my words upset so many people, which was never my intention. I understand why now, and for that I am deeply, deeply grateful because the information I got was really helpful and it helped me understand some different things. And then she went on to say, I said the Holocaust wasn't about race and was instead about man's inhumanity to man. But it is indeed about race because Hitler and the Nazis considered Jews to be an inferior race. Now, words matter, and mine are no exception. I regret my comments, as I said, and I stand corrected. I also stand with the Jewish people as they know, and you all know, because I've always done that. Now I'm asking you, what more could the woman say? And for that, she was suspended from her job for 2 weeks. Now, if she's suspended from her job for 2 weeks, what should be done to all of the priests who have been found guilty of sexual abuse? I read to you from an article in the Religious News Service. There's a Catholic bishop's report about how quiet Pope Benedict then kept, and all the other prelates, when it came to the charge of sexual abuse. And I read to you the author's words. Too many Catholic prelates believe that when it comes to clergy sexual abuse, being in charge means never having to say you're sorry. For as long as the crisis has been going on, lawyers for bishops have advised many of them not to apologize, as this would be an admission of guilt that would come back as evidence when they were sued in court. Wow. And he then adds, when prelates get around to their apologies, no one wants to hear that mistakes were made, or we would not act in the same way today. I'm sorry people are upset. I'm sorry for anything I may have done wrong. Compare that to what Whoopi Goldberg said. Is her apology good enough? It would seem so. It would seem from the Bible. In the Bible, we are told the story of how David sinned when he had Uriah murdered so he could move in with Bathsheba, or maybe Bathsheba move in with him. This angered God, and he sent the prophet Nathan to let David have it. And you know what David said? And David said to Nathan, I have sinned against the Lord. And Nathan replied, the Lord has taken away your sin. You're not going to die. Well, there was a price to be paid. But if you apologize properly, you should be forgiven. That's what happened in this week's Torah portion. The Jews went and they sinned in the worst way possible. They made a golden calf, an idol. And God says, I want to destroy the entire people. And Moshe pleads before God and says, why, Almighty, would you anger flare up against your people whom you have taken out of the land of Egypt? Remember, for the sake of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, your servants to whom you swore by yourself, and you told them, I shall increase your offspring like the stars in heaven. And you know what it says in the next verse? Hashem relented regarding the evil that he declared he would do to his people. The old saying is, love means never having to say you're sorry. That's so not Jewish. Judaism tells us that you have to say you're sorry. And when you say it, you're forgiven. And that is what Yom Kippur is all about. And Yom Kippur is on the 10th day of Tishrei. You know what happened originally on the 10th day of Tishrei? Vayomer Hashem salachti kidvarecha. God forgave us. Maimonides writes, one must not be cruel and refrain from reconciliation. Rather, he should be easy to appease and slow to anger. And even if the guilty party hurt him and sinned against him greatly, he must not be inexorable or vengeful. This is the way the seed of Israel, and it is their true heart. Yes, when someone apologizes properly, like Whoopi Goldberg has, you have to forgive. That doesn't necessarily mean you forget. And on that pleasant note, Shabbat Shalom.